The board deck is a practical tool to help boards focus on what matters most, the impact the board has on the school. It fosters meaningful conversations, guiding members to align their work with the school's mission and values, and helps them to reflect on effective governance practices. The board deck is more than a tool, it's a way to bring clarity and confidence to your work as a board member. Governance can feel overwhelming sometimes, especially when roles are unclear and the actual work of governance is not well defined. The board deck brings clarity to this, offering a clear and concise set of insights that help guide meaningful discussions and foster smarter decision-making. It's not about reinventing the wheel, it's about sharpening the focus, asking the right questions, and driving impactful outcomes. The board deck can be used to engage board members in reflective discussions, enlighten them about roles and responsibilities, and ultimately empower members to be more impactful in their deliberations. The board deck's tactile and concise approach is by design to appeal to busy professionals who have little time to read heavy literature about their volunteer activities on the board. The board deck cuts to the chase, whether focusing on principles or board practices. The cards provide just enough information to generate discussion and point people in the right direction. The cards also give permission for playing with ideas or alternatives, and the scenarios and profiles push towards professional role play. So there are 4 main points here. It accelerates board learning. Board members often don't have time to read lengthy governance manuals. The board deck's interactive format turns learning into action, making complex ideas easy to grasp and, more importantly, easy to apply. It enhances collaboration. It's structured to encourage teamwork and ensures that every voice is heard, helping your board work more cohesively. It promotes accountability. The clear framework makes it easy to evaluate performance, identify gaps, and set actionable goals for improvement. And it inspires strategic focus. With tools for tackling real-world scenarios, the board deck moves your board from managing the urgent to prioritizing the important. Of course, it's a great approach for new board members to quickly onboard the trustees with principles and practices and insights that they need so that they can hit the ground running. But so too, experienced trustees can gain clarity and insight and to sharpen their governance tactics with fresh ideas and deeper discussions. And certainly board committee chairs or board chairs can gain a structured way to understand the big picture and to help them lead better meetings, frame discussions, and navigate complex challenges. At the core of the board deck are the different sets of cards. 6 core principles are expanded to define 12 standards, and these are supported by 48 board practice cards that illustrate aspects of good governance. The principles also lead to 9 profiles that outline the different approaches to governance. Scenarios and complications provide a safe but challenging framework for board conversations to explore how they may approach issues, and all the board deliberations can actually be reframed through a set of inquiry cards to help ask better questions. Now, I want to plant a visual image to help you make the connection between these different sets of cards. When you look at a metropolitan transport map, you know the actual city is not usually built around these neat lines, but the whole map helps you to navigate your route and see the connection between the different stations. And you realize you can follow multiple paths, or a particular line or track, or jump off between tracks if that gives you a better link to your destination. So at the core are these 6 governance principles which outline the essential elements of good governance. These principles shed light on the roles and responsibilities of board members and provide insight into why these concepts are important. Together, these principles provide a visual roadmap or matrix showing the continuum of strategies and board duties in a succinct framework. Building on this framework of principles are the board profiles. Each of the profile cards sits within this framework or matrix and provides succinct information about the nature of the profile or the specific approach to board governance. Now, no one profile is more important than the others, and as with many things in life, it's about bringing balance and being able to purposefully choose a certain approach to suit the circumstances. Each profile plays its part in board work. The various members of the board each have a part to play in ensuring that the board's work is both rigorous and insightful. The board profiles are there to help illuminate the different roles and responsibilities, which help shape the future deliberations of the board so that the work can be aligned with a mission and focused on ethical and impactful practice. And so together, these principles and profiles create a very visual approach to understanding the different roles and responsibilities of the board, and how it's possible to shift from one mode to another to best suit the intended outcomes. Each of the 6 board principles can be broken down into 2 foundational standards. This yields a total of 12 standards. Now, these standards are a great way to focus boards on self-evaluation. Of course, self-evaluation can take place maybe at the end of the year, or during a retreat, or through a survey. But equally, it can be very effective to pull out 1 or 2 of the standards at the end of a board meeting and to conduct a mini review as part of ongoing reflections or improvement strategy sessions. The board practice cards are designed as a more hands-on guide to help inform and illustrate the work of the board. These cards clearly tie back to the principles, provide insights into the impact of the strategies, and indicate practical approaches the board can adopt to be more impactful in their work. Each of the cards is also linked to a training video, most of which are directly related to the card content. Others may be tangentially related to help provide further insight and understanding of the concepts and complexities of the issues concerned. There are 8 practice cards for each of the 6 principles. That gives a total of 48 board practice cards. Again, the tactile nature of these cards, coupled with very concise information, helps board members quickly navigate through these concepts, and being able to move them around on the table helps people to mentally sift through them and to play with different ideas and strategies. The scenario cards are designed as a group activity so that boards can safely approach delicate situations and explore how they may approach complex issues. Of course, the scenarios can be used in conjunction with principles or standards or practices, or simply as a starting point for a hypothetical discussion. And because the board work is rarely simple, there are 80 complications. These can be used in combination with the scenarios. Board issues are rarely arising in isolation, and often there are complicating factors that may influence the decision-making process. This scenario activity is therefore extended further through the use of these complications to challenge the individuals and the group thinking of the board. Now, you may have spotted that one of the principles is inquire, and you could say that the art of good governance begins with the art of good questions, and that actually a board that has good questions and questions with purpose leads with wisdom. And so the inquiry pack is actually a special pack within the board deck, and these cards can be used at any time to help challenge perspectives or give leverage to pivot your thinking. Remember that the work of the board is to provide oversight, insight, and foresight, and the best way to do this is through carefully crafted questions. Inquiry isn't just a distraction from governance, it is governance. And so coming back to the map analogy, the London Underground map, for example, we can imagine each of the card sets as a track or a line in our map. Not only can we see these train lines, we can also see that they intersect along the way. First up, role play. At this intersection, profiles are tested in action. Scenarios provide a stage for board members to address real-world challenges, assessing how their individual and collective identities shape their responses and outcomes. Next up, behavior. This intersection explores how board profiles manifest in practice. It helps trustees reflect on their roles, from visionary leadership to fiduciary oversight, and assess how their behaviors support or hinder the board's strategic goals. Identity. Where the why meets the who, this intersection reveals how core governance principles are embodied by different board profiles. It helps boards reflect on their collective identity and individual roles, ensuring alignment between intent and action while fostering a diverse and balanced approach to governance. The perspective pivot. Profiles reveal who the board is, and inquiry cards uncover how they might change their thinking. This intersection challenges board members to consider whether their decision-making styles and questioning strategies align with their profiles, fostering more self-awareness and collaborative growth. Alignment. This intersection ensures that the roles boards play align with their performance benchmarks. It's where standards of governance are filtered through the lens of board profiles, encouraging trustees to match their contributions to the board's strategic and fiduciary goals. Evaluation. This is a place to explore gaps and opportunities. Inquiry cards drive introspection and action by encouraging boards to assess their adherence to governance standards. This dynamic intersection sparks insights into strengths, weaknesses, and areas for growth. The foundations. This is where good governance really begins. Principles provide the enduring why behind a board's work, while the standards clarify the what of exemplary performance. Together, they form a robust framework that ensures the board's action aligns with its values and objectives and establishes a foundation for accountability, integrity, and trust. Implementation. Standards define the what, and practices offer the how. At this intersection, boards map standards to specific outcomes, ensuring that they meet and exceed performance expectations. It's a vital space for turning abstract goals into concrete outcomes. Testing. At this intersection, standards are stress tested against the unpredictable realities presented by scenarios. Boards use standards to evaluate their responses to challenges, ensuring their actions remain aligned with best practices and aspirational benchmarks. The generative exchange, perhaps the most dynamic intersection, and this is where creative problem-solving thrives. Inquiry cards fuel rich discussions around scenarios, encouraging boards to challenge assumptions, consider new perspectives, and co-create solutions. The adaptive loop. This intersection is about feedback and growth. Inquiry cards help boards reframe their thinking and critically evaluate their practices, ensuring they remain adaptable, relevant, and effective. It's a space for iterative improvement and aligning actions with evolving needs. Insight. This is the space for transformative conversations. Inquiry cards challenge boards to question assumptions, probe deeper, and reframe their perspectives in light of governance principles. Challenge, where theory meets practice. This intersection grounds principles in real-world complexities, using scenarios to stress test governance ideals. Boards confront dilemmas and complications that demand a nuanced application of principles, providing a safe space for exploring decisions and their consequences. Action. Principles guide intent, but practices bring them to life. At this junction, boards explore actionable strategies that transform aspirational goals into measurable outcomes. This intersection emphasizes how principles translate into day-to-day decision-making, offering tools to bridge the gap between governance ideals and practical realities. Application, where governance becomes tangible. Practices are applied to scenarios, offering a lens through which boards can explore the effectiveness of their strategies and identify areas for adjustment. It's the ultimate test of translating principles into action. So there you have it, the board deck, a complete professional development framework for boards, bringing clarity to complexity and focused on improving the impact of the board's work.